The small ship named Luma drifted quietly in the far edges of space. Its lights were dim, and its engines no longer answered. Inside the ship, the crew moved slowly, trying to save what little power remained. Rin, the captain, stood near the main screen. She was calm, but her eyes showed the worry she carried. Tal, the engineer, was under a panel, searching for a way to bring the engines back. Around them, the other crew members worked in silence, each one feeling the heavy stillness of a ship that could no longer move. "Send the signal again," Rin said softly. The communication officer nodded and pressed the control. A thin call went out into the endless dark. It was an SOS, a simple request for help, repeated again and again. The sound was steady, but in the crew's hearts, there was little belief that anyone would hear it. Tal closed the panel and shook his head. No response from the engines. "We have power for life support, but not enough to move. We are stuck." Rin looked at him with steady eyes. "Then we keep sending the signal. Someone may hear us." The crew wanted to believe, but in their minds, they remembered the truth that every traveler in the galaxy knew. This part of space was called the Dark Zone. No trade ships passed through it. No rescue teams traveled here. It was said to be empty, silent, and unreachable. The communication officer whispered, "Captain, why send the signal? We all know it will fade into nothing." Rin stood straighter. "Because even in the darkest places, we must try. Hope is lighter than despair." The words gave the crew a little comfort, but still, they felt the weight of silence pressing against the ship. Days passed slowly. The crew counted time by the flicker of the low lights. They ate simple meals and spoke in quiet voices. Tal tried again and again to repair systems, but the ship remained still. Rin checked the signal logs every morning. The SOS was leaving the ship, traveling into the void, but no reply ever came back. One night cycle, Tal sat beside Rin at the main screen. He looked at the stars spread like silver dust. "Do you think anyone is out there, Captain?" Rin did not answer at once. She thought about the many stories told in space stations, stories of far species, strange worlds, and lost ships. She thought about the warnings given to young explorers: never cross the dark zone, for no one can hear you there. Finally she said, "The stars carry more secrets than we know. Perhaps someone listens where we cannot see." Tal gave a tired smile. "Perhaps." The days stretched longer. Hope grew thin. Some crew members began to write messages for their families, leaving words in the data banks in case their ship was ever found. Others sat quietly, staring at the stars, their eyes far away. But Rin never let the signal stop. Every hour, the soft sound went out again. It was like a voice calling across a vast ocean, waiting for an answer that never came. On the seventh day of silence, the youngest crew member asked, "Captain, do you think the galaxy cares about one small ship?" Rin looked at him kindly. "Every life matters. Every call matters. We may be small, but even the smallest star can be seen in the dark." The words lifted the spirits of the crew, if only a little. They went back to their small tasks, holding on to the thought that maybe, just maybe, someone would hear. Outside, the Luma drifted without direction. The stars watched quietly, bright but silent. The SOS moved across the dark, a thin thread of hope stretching into places no one had ever reached. The crew did not know that far away, in a place hidden at the very edge of the dark zone, their signal had touched an old listening post. And in that post, Human eyes were about to open to their call. At the edge of the dark zone stood an old listening post built by humans many years ago. Most of the galaxy had forgotten it existed, but inside, a small crew still worked day and night. Their job was simple. They listened to the silence, recorded strange signals, and waited for anything unusual. Commander Myra walked through the control room with calm steps. She was not tall, but her presence filled the space. She looked at the screens where long waves of sound and light were drawn as lines. Most of the lines were flat, showing nothing but emptiness. But today one line was not flat. "Report," Myra said. The young operator named Lio pointed to the screen. His eyes were wide with surprise. "Commander, we received a pattern. It repeats in regular time. I checked 3 times. It is not background noise. It is a signal." The crew gathered around the screen. A faint rhythm flashed across the display. It was weak, almost hidden under the waves of space, but it was real. Myra leaned closer. "Can you identify the source?" "Not fully," Lio admitted. "It comes from deep inside the dark zone. The pattern is simple, but it matches known distress codes used by alien ships." The room grew quiet. Everyone understood what that meant. A ship was stranded in the most unreachable part of space. One officer whispered, "No one goes into the dark zone. Everyone knows it is impossible to cross." Myra did not move her eyes from the signal. Impossible is a word that changes when humans are involved. The crew looked at her with respect, but also with worry. Humans were called Deathworlders by other species. That name came from their home planet, which was harsh and demanding. The galaxy saw humans as strange, even dangerous, because they could survive where others could not. For years, humans had stayed quiet, keeping their presence small, not wishing to spread fear. Now, a choice stood before them. "Should we respond?" asked another officer. "If we do, we reveal our location. If we stay silent, no one will know we were here." The words hung heavy in the air. For most species, the answer would be easy. They would remain silent, safe behind their walls, letting the signal fade. But Myra felt the weight of a different truth. She spoke firmly. "When someone calls for help, humans answer. That is who we are. It does not matter if the call is far. It does not matter if the call is small. We answer." The room filled with energy. The officers straightened in their seats. The choice was clear now. "Begin preparations," Myra ordered. "We will send a message back. Then we will ready the fleet." Lio hesitated. "Commander, with respect, the fleet has never crossed the dark zone. It is said to swallow ships. Records tell us no one can survive the path." Myra turned to him. Her eyes were steady, her voice calm. "Records are written by those who stop trying. Humans do not stop trying." She walked to the large window at the back of the room. Beyond the glass, the stars stretched endless and cold. Somewhere out there, in the silence, a crew was waiting, sending their signal again and again. She could almost hear it in her heart, a steady call saying, "We are here, please hear us." The crew of the listening post moved quickly. Antennas turned. Systems powered up. A response message was prepared. It was simple and clear, a promise of hope. "This is Human Command," the message said. "We hear your call. Hold fast. Help is coming." The words were sent out into the dark. No one knew if they would reach the stranded ship. The signal would be weak. The distance was vast. but even a whisper can travel far in silence. Myra gave the final order. Signal the fleet. Tell them we move at once. Far below the post, hidden in underground hangars, human ships waited. Their names were written in clear letters: Hope, Unity, Dawn. They had been built for long travel, strong against storms, patient against time. As engines warmed, the crew of the listening post watched with pride. They knew the galaxy would not expect this. They knew other species believed no one could survive such a journey. But humans had always walked paths others feared. Myra stood with her hands behind her back, her voice calm but full of strength. They thought no SOS would be heard. They thought no help could cross the dark zone. We will prove them wrong. And with that, the fleet began to rise, ready to carry the light of hope into the deepest dark. Deep under the ground of the human outpost, the hangar lights glowed. The walls trembled as old engines woke from their long rest. Dust fell from high beams, and shadows danced as ships prepared for flight. Commander Myra walked through the hangar with steady steps. Her uniform was plain, but her presence was strong. Around her, engineers worked with focus, running final checks on the ships. Each ship was ready for a journey no one had ever dared before. The fleet was small but full of purpose. At the front stood the ship Hope, the largest of the group. Beside it stood Unity, strong and balanced. On the far side was Dawn, fast and light, built to move quickly through unknown paths. Their names were simple, but they carried meaning. Myra paused to watch the ships. She knew many would say this mission was foolish. The dark zone was full of silence and strange currents. No record spoke of safe travel. But to Myra, that was not reason to stop. Report status, she called. A technician answered from a console. Engines of Hope are stable. Unity is ready. Dawn awaits final clearance. All crews are on board. Myra gave a firm nod. Good. Today we do what others think cannot be done. We are not only saving lives. We are showing the galaxy who humans truly are. Her words carried through the hangar. The crew members lifted their heads. Some had fear in their eyes, but more had determination. They knew the stories. They knew the galaxy called humans Deathworlders, beings too strange, too strong, too wild. But they also knew their own truth. Humans were not only survivors. They were helpers, builders, dreamers. Soon the call came. All systems green. Launch may begin. The floor shook as the first engines roared to life. Hope lifted from the hangar, its silver body glowing under the lights. Slowly, Unity and Dawn rose beside it. Together they moved upward, carrying with them the promise of rescue. The hangar roof opened. For a moment the ships hovered in silence, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. Then they rose higher, breaking through into the cold night of space. Stars spread around them, bright and endless. In the control deck of Hope, Myra stood before the main window. Her second officer, Ren, spoke softly. Commander, course is set. Distance is long. We do not know what lies ahead. Myra answered with calm strength. That is why we go. If the path is hard, we will make it. If the distance is long, we will cross it. We are human. We do not turn away. The ships formed a line. Their lights shone like three stars moving together. Behind them, the listening post grew small, until it was only a tiny spark fading in the distance. Ahead of them stretched the dark zone, wide and unknown. For many, this would have been the end of hope. but for humans, it was only the beginning. As they entered the dark zone, the stars seemed to dim. Strange shadows moved at the edge of sight. The sensors gave warnings of sudden currents and hidden pulls of gravity. The crew worked with calm hands, adjusting the ships, steadying their flight. Inside Hope, Myra watched the data scroll across the screen. She saw the dangers, but she also saw the path. It was faint, like a thread across the dark, but it was there. Hold formation, she ordered. Trust the course. Trust each other. Hours passed into days. The crew grew tired, but they did not stop. They ate simple meals at their stations, shared quiet words, and returned to their work. They spoke of home, of the blue skies and green fields of Earth, and the memory gave them strength. On the third day, Dawn sent a message. Commander, we caught a faint signal ahead. It matches the distress code. The bridge grew silent. Everyone listened as the sound played across the speakers. It was weak, broken by distance, but it was clear. The SOS was still being sent. Myra's heart lifted. They are alive. Keep moving. We are on the right path. The crews smiled, their energy renewed. The signal was proof that their effort was not in vain. Someone out there was waiting, hoping, believing that help could come. The fleet pressed forward. Step by step, moment by moment, they crossed a space no one had ever crossed before. The galaxy had said it was impossible, but humans were showing that impossible was only another word for untried. As the ships glided deeper into the dark, Myra stood at the window, her voice steady and full of resolve. They sent a call into silence. We will be the answer. And so the fleet awakened, carrying light into the heart of the unknown. On the stranded ship Luma, time moved slowly. The crew had stopped counting days and started counting heartbeats. Every light inside the ship seemed weaker, every sound softer. The engine slept, and no repair could wake them. Rin walked through the narrow halls, checking on each crew member. She spoke with calm words, even when her own heart felt heavy. She knew the crew looked to her for strength, and she could not let them see her doubt. Tal sat near the main panel, his hands stained with the dust of broken wires. He shook his head when Rin stepped closer. I tried again, Captain. The core refuses to start. Even if it did, the drive is gone. We cannot move. Rin placed a hand on his shoulder. Then we save what power we have. The signal must keep going. That is our thread of hope. The signal still pulsed into the dark. It was faint, but steady, like a heartbeat. Some crew members believed no one would ever hear it. Others prayed in silence, asking the stars for mercy. In the quiet hours, when the crew rested, Rin stood at the main window. The stars shone cold and far, scattered like diamonds across black glass. She thought about the galaxy and its many races. She thought about the words spoken in academies and stations, no ship can cross the dark zone, no call can be heard there. She wondered if those words were truly final, or if somewhere a listener still existed. One evening cycle, the youngest crew member, Ina, asked, Captain, why do we send the signal if no one can reach us? Rin smiled gently. Because if we do not call, then no one will ever know we were here. Even if the chance is small, hope is worth the effort. Ina nodded, though her eyes still carried doubt. She sat near the window, staring at the endless black, her small hands pressed together. Tal joined Rin later that night. His voice was quiet. They call humans Deathworlders. They say humans walk where no one else can. Do you think they would hear us, if they are real? Rin raised her eyes to the stars. I do not know if humans will hear. But I know this. The stories say they do not turn away from a call. Perhaps the stars will carry our voice to them. The crew clung to those words. Yet each day felt longer than the one before. The food was simple and rationed. The water recycler worked slowly. The air was thin and carried the faint smell of metal. The silence pressed on them like a weight. Still, the SOS continued, a small sound pushing through the endless dark. Then, one morning cycle, the communication officer sat up straight. His hands trembled over the controls. "Captain," he said, his voice shaking. "There is something on the channel. It is faint, but not background noise. It is different." The crew rushed to the panel. The sound was weak, almost hidden, but it was not random. It carried rhythm. It carried intention. Rin leaned close. Her heart pounded. Is it a reply? The officer worked quickly, adjusting the settings, clearing the static. Finally, the message came through, broken but clear enough. "This is human command. We hear your call. Hold fast. Help is coming." The words repeated twice before fading. The crew stared in silence, their eyes wide, their breaths caught in their throats. Then Ina let out a cry of joy. Tal pressed his hands to his face, shaking with relief. Others laughed and shouted, their voices filling the quiet halls for the first time in many days. Rin closed her eyes. The corners of her mouth lifted in a rare smile. They heard us. The joy filled the ship, but soon the reality returned. The distance was still vast. The humans had promised help, but the path across the dark zone was long and unknown. Would they truly reach in time? Could they survive what no one else had survived? Rin gathered the crew and spoke clearly. "We must remain steady. They are coming, but it will take time. We keep the ship stable. We keep the signal alive. We hold on until they arrive." The crew nodded with fresh strength. The simple message had changed everything. They were no longer alone. That night, as the ship drifted silently, Rin stood once more at the window. She whispered to the stars, across the dark, "Someone is moving toward us. We will not give up. We will be ready when they arrive." Far away, through the unseen storms of the dark zone, the human fleet pressed forward. Their lights shone like three small stars, cutting through shadows that had never known company. And between the stranded ship and the fleet stretched the vast silence of space, a silence that would soon be broken by the meeting of hope and determination. The dark zone had never welcomed travelers. Strange currents twisted through the black, pulling ships off course. Sensors failed without warning, and light itself seemed weaker. Yet the human fleet pressed forward, their ships moving as one. Inside Hope, Commander Myra stood on the bridge, her hands behind her back. She watched the shifting lines on the screen as her officers worked. Every few hours, the signal from the stranded ship appeared again, faint but steady. It was a thin line of light in a sea of darkness, guiding them forward. Ren, the second officer, turned in his chair. "Commander, the signal is growing stronger. We are closing in." A quiet cheer moved through the bridge. After so many days of silence and shadow, the thought of reaching the stranded ship lifted every heart. Myra allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Keep steady. Do not let the dark zone distract you. Our destination is clear." On the Luma, Rin gathered her crew near the main screen. Their faces were thin with worry, but their eyes now carried hope. The youngest, Ina, leaned forward, her voice trembling with excitement. "Captain, I heard them again. The humans. The signal is clearer now." Tal shook his head in wonder. "They are truly coming. Across this impossible space, they are coming." Rin placed her hands on the edge of the console, grounding herself. "Then we must prepare. When they arrive, we meet them with respect. We show them we did not give up." The hours stretched on. Every sound of the ship seemed louder, every flicker of light more important. The crew listened for the next signal, and when it came, stronger than before, they could hardly breathe. Then, one cycle later, the impossible happened. The communication officer shouted, his voice filled with disbelief. "Captain, I see them. Objects on the scanner. 3 ships approaching fast." The crew rushed to the window. At first, there was only the endless dark. Then, small lights appeared, far away but moving closer. They glowed white and steady, cutting through the shadows like stars given motion. Ina's eyes filled with tears. "It is them. The humans." As the lights grew, the shape of the ships became clear. They were different from alien designs. Their lines were strong and simple, built for endurance. They carried no decoration, no excess. Only purpose. The 3 ships slowed as they reached the Luma. The largest, Hope, moved to the front. A clear signal came across the channel. The voice was calm, steady, and kind. "This is Commander Myra of the human fleet. To the crew of the Luma, your call has been heard. You are not alone. We are here." The crew of the Luma listened in silence. Some covered their mouths, others bowed their heads. For many days they had believed no one would come. Now, across the dark zone, help had truly arrived. Rin pressed the control to answer. Her voice was firm, though her hands trembled. "This is Captain Rin of the Luma. Words cannot express our gratitude. We believed no one could reach us. Yet you have." Myra's reply came without hesitation. "Humans do not turn away from a call for help. We will guide you home." The connection was steady now. For the first time, voices crossed the dark zone. Tal whispered to Rin, "They are real. The stories were true. They are not only survivors. They are helpers." The humans sent a team across to the Luma. Their suits were simple but strong, marked with clear letters. They moved with confidence, carrying tools and energy packs. Rin and her crew greeted them with careful respect. The humans bowed their heads lightly. One of them smiled, a small but warm gesture. "We heard your call. Let us begin repairs." For hours, the ships worked together. Energy was shared, systems were restarted, and broken panels were replaced. The Luma came back to life piece by piece. As they worked, the alien crew noticed something remarkable. The humans did not speak with pride or demand praise. They spoke with kindness and calm. They laughed quietly with each other, encouraging one another through the long tasks. Their spirit filled the silent ship with warmth. Ina watched them with wide eyes. She whispered to Rin, "They carry light inside them. Not just in their ships, but in themselves." Rin nodded slowly. She understood. The galaxy had spoken of humans as strange and dangerous, but here, face to face, she saw something different. She saw a people who refused to abandon others, no matter how far the distance. When the repairs were stable, Myra contacted Rin again. "Your ship can travel now, but you will not travel alone. We will escort you out of the dark zone. Together we will return to safety. Rin bowed her head. We accept. Your help has saved us, but your spirit has given us more than life. It has given us hope. And so, for the first time in history, an alien ship and a human fleet moved side by side through the dark zone. The impossible had become real. The stars watched quietly, as if taking note that the silence of the dark had finally been broken. The journey back from the dark zone was steady. The Luma now glowed softly as its systems hummed once more. The human fleet moved alongside it, a steady escort in the endless black of space. The air inside the Luma felt lighter, as if the hope from the humans had filled every corner. Rin watched the human ships from the main window. They moved with confidence, their lights steady, their presence calming. It was not just their technology that impressed her. It was their spirit. Every action carried care and thought. Every movement showed respect for life and purpose. Tal leaned on the console beside her. I never imagined a species could be so human. So calm, so patient, yet so determined. Rin nodded. We have seen legends of humans before, but I did not know the truth until now. They carry strength in ways we cannot always measure. Inside Hope, Commander Myra spoke with her crew. Keep the pace steady. Our role is not only to return the Luma to safety but also to teach them how to move through unknown space with confidence. Her team worked with careful patience. They shared energy modules, updated navigational data, and explained how the dark zone's currents could be read rather than feared. Rin and Tal absorbed every lesson, watching the humans solve problems without panic, always encouraging and always calm. The younger crew members began to mimic the humans. Ina repeated small techniques she saw them use to stabilize systems. Others asked questions, learning how to maintain engines for long journeys. It was more than rescue. It was guidance, a passing of knowledge that no academy had offered them before. During a quiet moment, Rin approached Myra on the deck of Hope. Your people have given us life, but also something more, she said. Your patience, your courage, your way of facing the unknown, these are lessons we will carry forward. Myra smiled softly. Every species has strength. Humans have learned that survival is not only about enduring danger. It is about helping, teaching, and sharing. You will take this strength with you, and one day, others will see it too. Rin looked down at the control panels. I had thought rescue was only about saving bodies. But now I understand. It is about giving hope and knowledge. We are stronger for it. The journey continued. The stars returned to their usual brightness as the dark zone ended. Light and color filled the sensors once more. The crew of the Luma felt relief, but also a sense of wonder. The impossible journey had been completed, not just through technology, but through care, courage, and guidance. Myra called over the channel. You have done well, crew of the Luma. Today you survived the dark zone, but tomorrow, you will travel with confidence. Remember what you have learned. Teach it to others. That is the true gift of this mission. The crew responded with gratitude, but also with quiet awe. They had not only been rescued. They had been shown a vision of what life could be when help is given freely and knowledge is shared willingly. Tal looked at Rin with bright eyes. I feel like we can go anywhere now. We have learned from the humans how to face what no one else dares. Rin smiled. Yes. And one day, we will pass this on. We will show others that help can come even from the farthest reaches of space. Ina whispered to Rin as they looked out at the stars, Captain, do you think humans are always like this? Rin placed a hand on her shoulder. I think so. And one day, many will know. Today we were lucky to meet them, but tomorrow, the galaxy may hear their story in every corner. The fleet continued, the humans guiding the Luma toward safe space. The alien crew realized that the journey had changed them. It was not just a rescue mission. It was a lesson in hope, patience, and courage. By the time the edge of known space appeared, the crew of the Luma felt a quiet pride. They had faced despair and the unknown, and humans had shown them that even in the darkest places, light could reach. Myra's voice came again across the channel, calm and kind. You are ready now. Travel safely. Remember our lessons. And remember that no call for help is ever too small to hear. Rin looked at her crew and nodded. They had survived more than danger. They had survived doubt. And the humans had shown them that the spirit of life could shine brighter than any star. The journey of rescue had become a journey of understanding. Beyond the danger, beyond the darkness, the humans had given something that would last far longer than any repairs or tools. They had given hope, courage, and the knowledge that even the smallest voice could be heard in the galaxy. And the crew of the Luma knew that they would never forget the lesson of the Deathworlders. The edge of safe space finally appeared. Beyond it, stars burned bright, welcoming the Luma and the human fleet back into the known regions of the galaxy. Rin and her crew watched in quiet awe as the familiar patterns of planets, space stations, and trade routes returned. For many days, the Luma had drifted alone in the dark zone, its crew uncertain if anyone would ever find them. Now, the human ships glided beside them, steady and reliable, their lights reflecting hope in every window. Commander Myra addressed the crew of the Luma over the channel. We will remain with you until you are fully safe. After that, you will continue your journey with confidence. You have earned it. Rin spoke to her own crew, her voice calm but filled with emotion. Look around you. We are not alone anymore. The humans have shown us that even in the farthest reaches of space, help can come. The crew smiled, their spirits lifted higher than they had been in weeks. Tal clapped his hands together. It is more than just rescue. They have shown us how to face any challenge without fear. Ina looked out the window at the steady lights of the human ships. Captain, do you think everyone in the galaxy will know about this? Rin nodded. They will. Today, we have not only survived, but we have learned a lesson that will travel farther than we can imagine. The story of humans helping others will be shared for generations. As the fleet moved toward the nearest station, small signals began to appear on scanners. Other ships noticed the unusual group. News spread quickly, humans had crossed the dark zone and rescued an alien crew thought lost. Myra guided the Luma safely into the station's dock. The humans stayed close until every system on the ship was fully restored and every crew member was comfortable. They did not hurry, and they did not demand thanks. Their actions spoke more than words could. Rin stepped onto the station, her crew following closely. Everywhere they went, whispers began to circulate. The people of the station watched the humans with surprise and curiosity. Many had heard the legends of Deathworlders, but now they saw the truth. Humans were not only survivors of a harsh planet, they were helpers, guides, and friends. Tal leaned toward Rin. They have changed how everyone will see humans. Not just here, but across the galaxy. Rin smiled. Yes. And we are part of that change now. We will carry the story wherever we go. The SOS we sent is more than a call for help. It is a reminder that hope can reach anyone, anywhere. Inside the station, Commander Myra spoke quietly with Rin. Your crew showed great courage. You did not give up. And that made our work meaningful. You have learned something more than survival. You have learned the strength of trust, patience, and courage. Rin nodded. We will remember. Not just for ourselves, but for all who may face the unknown. Your help is a gift, and your example is a guide. The human ships remained at the station for a short time, ensuring the Luma and its crew were fully ready for their next journey. Then, slowly, they prepared to leave. Their engines glowed softly, ready to carry them to new adventures, to help others in need, and to prove again that humans never ignore a call for help. As the fleet lifted off, Rin and her crew watched in quiet admiration. The humans waved, a simple gesture full of warmth and encouragement. It was more than a farewell. It was a promise: hope travels across the galaxy wherever it is needed. Ina whispered softly, Captain, will they really help anyone else like they helped us? Rin nodded. Yes. And one day, we will join them in showing the galaxy that no call is too small, no voice too distant, to be heard. The story of the rescue spread quickly. Other alien crews began to speak of the humans not as Deathworlders to fear, but as beings to trust. Every space station, every ship, and every trade route carried the story: humans answer the call for help. Rin stood at the window of the Luma, watching the human fleet move into the stars. They thought no SOS would be heard. They thought the dark zone would silence us. But the humans proved otherwise. They showed the galaxy what it means to be truly alive, truly brave, and truly kind. Her crew gathered around her, smiles and quiet laughter filling the cabin. The Luma was no longer just a rescued ship. It was a symbol of hope, a reminder that courage, trust, and determination could light even the darkest places. The human fleet disappeared into the distance, their lights fading into the endless stars, but their example remained. Every star in the dark now seemed brighter, carrying a promise: when help is needed, humanity will answer. And in that promise, the galaxy found a new hope, a new respect, and a new understanding of what it truly means to be strong. The Luma moved forward, guided by the lessons of the humans and the spirit of courage they had shared. Across the stars, the story of the fleet of hope would travel far and wide, inspiring every being who dared to dream and trust in the power of kindness. The galaxy had changed, and humanity's light would shine forever.